The implementation of the new value-added tax rate of 7.5%, of course, has effectively taken off. Nigerians are already feeling the effect on the cost of living as prices of items in the market remains on upward trajectory. There are already marginal increases in costs and prices on many products and services. Many analysts say it's too early to determine the extent of the impact. They add that the review remains worrisome because many businesses are currently grappling with higher production and operating costs, which has made sustainability difficult for many enterprises. The president and founder of the International Center for Tax Research and Development, Mrs. Morenike Babington Ashaye, is live in the studio today to break this down. We are starting fully with the Finance Act itself and its relation to 2020 budget before we now dovetail into other issues around it. Now it's law, and we have to go by it. How well will this act help actualize the intentions of government, or how to actualize our budget 2020 in getting it right with our budgeting system? We've run budgets for years. It's always the same thing. What's different about this?
Well, I haven't seen anything different in the budget 2020. It's the usual thing for almost 50 years, you know. If you have worked in the government circle, whether state or federal or local government, it is a ritual. Every year, all the line items are there, and they must put something, because they are always afraid that if I do not ask as much as I should, allocation may not be as much as I would need. So there is always that fear that I don't know how much will be allocated at the end of the day. But I'm quite surprised with the budget 2020, because over the years, we've been running the Nigerian state as if, you know, it's only government, it's only government, it's only government. If you look at the Constitution, there are three major areas that the Constitution wants government to focus on: the political order, the economic order, and the social order. These are three things they should just budget on. Because if you look at the political order, you want to look at the stability, you know, the National Assembly for federal government, and the executive, the judiciary, you know, making sure that at least politically there's stability in the country. The economic aspect in the Constitution, the Constitution has stated that government must not necessarily be involved in economic activities. And it should also make sure that there's no monopoly. That is, not few people are in charge of the economy. Like we are going to talk about the road infrastructure now. So the government has taken economic activities as if it's its own main business, and they are budgeting on it. And this is why we have to go borrowing every year, going borrowing. Instead of government to allow the private sector, partner with the private sector so that economic activities can move forward. I was going through the budget 2020, and I saw purchase of spare parts for railway, the railway line. Why should government be involved in that? Government can actually give this out for private sector to manage.
Is it an issue of government not having business to doing business?
Exactly. They are supposed to regulate. They are supposed to, put in enabling environment.
Policies.
Policies, enabling environment, like ease of doing business, like interest rate very, very low. That is what they should be concentrating on. And that is why you see that economy is very dry. If government does not do anything, the whole nation is down. And that is not good for us. We cannot continue to do this year in, year out.
This issue of SMEs and the 25 million exemption and all of that has also been generating comments from all and sundry. Some even say it's possible to break it down. Sharp practices might even. How are they going to monitor and be sure that this person's business is not exceeding How are they going to monitor this? Is there anything in line? Have they made any process in line to make this work?
The issue, I'm sure they are not prepared. The government is not prepared for this VAT threshold, 25 million down for the small organizations. Because what the government is trying to do with this act now is that government is holding the leg of the entrepreneur, one leg, and saying move with the other leg. How is the entrepreneur going to move? Because VAT is a two-way traffic. You have input and you have output. So if you don't have a plan whereby all those organizations with 25 million down, you have their list, you have their data. And if they go anywhere to purchase anything, on the push of a button, I will know that this organization is exempt. But that is not the way they want to practice it. What the government wants is that the SME will pay VAT on input, but what is exempted from paying, from charging VAT on output. And that is stealing from them. Because if I purchase goods 100 naira, let us assume that VAT is 10%, and I pay 10 naira, which is 10% of 100. By the time I do my value addition, the cost of my goods is now 150, and I charge 10%, which is 15 naira. What I'm supposed to pay to the government is going to be 15 naira less the 10 naira input, which is 5 naira. But now, if government is saying you don't charge VAT on your goods, but pay VAT, which means I would have suffered 10 naira.
Well,
you understand?
Yes, I do.
So it's important for government to, you can't hold the small entrepreneurs by one leg and say move with the other leg. There must be a sort of database that anywhere SMEs want to buy anything, those with 25 million down want to buy anything, the seller will know that this organization is exempt. Because if you don't do that, you are creating problems for the SMEs. And I believe they will look into it. And that is why I said earlier on that they should have had a transitional period where they can ask SMEs to register. They want SMEs to register, fine. But maybe like 3 months, you ask SMEs to register, you have their data, and they can be covered, both for input and output.
I want to now, let's go to the issue of infrastructure development, which also encompasses issues around roads. There's a decision of government to take 2 trillion naira from pension funds. I think they've been saying a long time that these funds have been lying fallow. So they really want to make use of it for foreign infrastructure. And also getting funds at CBN rates, plus that 2% for road infrastructure. Please, can you break this down for Nigerians to understand what this entails? What are the positives for us here?
For me, I haven't seen any positive at all. No. Because, like I said, government should not be involved in business, but create enabling environment. In other places, like India, we have National Sovereign Investment Fund, which has the responsibility for infrastructure development. It has responsibility for stabilization. In case of economic problem, they can stabilize the economy. They also have fund to help our future generation. And they have another fund for infrastructure. What I expect the federal government to do was to open up infrastructure investment industry, under the National Sovereign Investment Fund. Those who have money, let them, just like we did, like ex-President Obasanjo did during share purchase for banks. So there should be that policy whereby you can encourage people, you can encourage individuals to invest in infrastructure. And government wouldn't need to plan for it, will not need to be looking for money, borrowing money from the pension fund. I would have preferred where government says, oh, if you have a pension, your pension fund, you can, from your pension fund, you are able to borrow money there and then use it for purchase of shares in infrastructure investment fund. And there could be, like, you can give tax holiday to companies who are investing. You can allow them tax credit, not this kind of tax credit, you know. You can also those people that having shares, you can give them the confidence. Like, for example, there will be a guaranteed dividend every year, maybe 10%. If you look at the banking environment now, nobody wants to save. Yeah. But if there is infrastructure investment industry opened up by the government, a lot of people will put money there, because the NSIF, that is the National Sovereign Investment Fund, is meant to cater for federal government, state, local, federal capital territory. So if there's any infrastructure coming in my local government, I may be interested and say, yes, this is good for me. Let me put my money there. So government shouldn't be getting involved too much in business. They should just open up. If we can open up the infrastructure investment industry, wow, we won't have to go borrowing. And there's no need for the federal government to go and borrow 2 trillion when individuals can actually buy shares with their own money, you know, from the pension fund.
From government too.
There will be guarantee, you know, from the government that yes, we back NSIF. That's the main government establishment, and there could be private sectors, you know, going under the NSIF. And you see this issue of paying those who actually are involved in infrastructure, you know, the road infrastructure tax credit certificate. It's wrong totally. It's against the Constitution, and even the Federal Inland Revenue Service does not have the right to issue that certificate, because the money that the Federal Inland Revenue Service is collecting is for the whole federation. Yes. It's for federal government, state, local. So by using companies' income tax to pay for this road, indirectly, the federal government is appropriating money that belongs to other sector. And that is not fair, because I would think that if they have to issue road infrastructure tax credit certificate to those who are investing in this, then federal government should also be issuing certificates of indebtedness to states and local government, so that they also can claim their money back. Or alternatively, what Federal Inland Revenue can do is to restrict the certificate that will be issued to that element that belongs to the federal government. More importantly, this infrastructure tax credit is a constitutional matter. It should have gone to the National Assembly for approval. Under the president was using section 315(2) of the Constitution. But it is wrong, because section 315 of the Constitution says that the military gave that sort of transitional provision that in case there are laws that are not consistent with the Constitution, the president has power, you know, to bring it in conformity with the Constitution. So the president cannot use this road infrastructure under it. And the company's income tax, section 23, subsection 2, that the president is also using, is not in conformity with companies' income tax, because that section only permits the president to give exemption like the interest, you know, that interest will not be taxable in the hands of the company.
Before we let you go, let's look at the impact of this on Nigerians. They are hearing these figures. Some don't even know. When you send a text now, you get a message of 4 naira 10 kobo due to the addition of 2.5% VAT. And it's all around. How do you see Nigerians taking this? What effects do you see it having on the masses?
Well, for me, I look at it as if since the government is almost against social media, they want to use that tax element to curb, activities in the social media. If they are not doing that, every country wants people to be happy. You know how happy people are when they are able to talk, they are able to chat, they are able to phone. But now, if we are not careful, people will reduce the time spent because of the cost. It will create unhappiness for the people, and it will create unhappiness for the companies that are, that have invested a lot. They have invested a lot in the emission of data and so on. So I don't think, I think there are certain things government needs to do to know that this will make my people happy. If a state governor can open up a ministry of happiness, I think government should rethink on this, that as far as data is concerned, VAT should not be increased. It's not compulsory that VAT has to be 7.5% on all matters. It could still be 5% on some things that can, that can impact, positively on the people.
Man, that's how we can take. I have the president, founder, International Center for Tax Research and Development. I see that insight. Thank you. At least we're able to have the part 2 today to end this discussion on educating Nigerians. I know the issue on tax is a continuous one. We'll surely have you again subsequently. Yeah.